Hello, everyone. I hope everything is okay and you can hear me and see me. My name is Martin Maciuk. I'm CEO and Diag. We specialize in hair test for dogs and cats in near future also. And one of our activity are also webinars for our followers, for all pet parents, pet lovers, and that's why we are meeting today. And today, our host, our special guest, our expert is Shruti Dhawan. She is an international certified and professionally consulting pet nutritionist. She specializes in both canine and feline nutrition, and her major priority is to understand the pets as well as the parents' limitations and help them with every bit of information she has. Shruti does not believe in extreme opinions on any side and understand that her real job is to help the bond we have with our pets last long and healthy. The topic for today's webinar is how to prevent obesity in pet dogs. So, Shruti, it's a great pleasure to have you today on our webinars. Please join and run today's meeting.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me? I hope you can. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen and we'll quickly begin. Okay, can you guys see the screen? Just a second. There are a few more people entering. Okay. I'm starting the session and yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Obesity in dogs. Okay, today's topic is obesity. And I'm going to talk about what causes obesity, how can you prevent obesity, and what are the, not preventive measures, but some lifestyle change, lifestyle habits you could have forever, for that your dog do not become fat and obese. So what is obesity? Obesity it's easy, like, okay, it's being fat, very fat. And obesity can also have multiple health problems. It's not just that the dog would look like a loaf of bread or would look very chonky. I mean, yeah, they do look cute, but then they also have their own issues. Okay. I'm just going to check again if you guys can hear me. Great. So moving on. Now, obesity can lead to heart problems. For example, when the body, when the mass around abdominal area, okay, when the fat increases, it can cause problem to this. It causes a structural problem, which can cause diaphragms and lungs to, it presses the lungs. So it becomes difficult for dogs to breathe, especially, the small breed dogs like Shih Tzus and Lhasa Apsos, and even the bulldogs, because they have a different shape of chest. Then, of course, that was the respiratory issue. Heart issue base involves uh, consuming a lot of carbohydrate in the diet. Okay, it can cause blockage in the heart, and that is when the dogs can have fatal heart attacks. And also, when there is a lot of fat in the body, when the arteries are clogged, the blood pumping has to be very, very quick, which can cause hypertension, and at the same time, this heart rate issues. And fat increases body weight, for which can cause extra excess, a lot of pressure in bones and joints. So I'm so sorry, just a second. Okay, so bone and joints tend, there's a lot of pressure on bones and joints, which can, start the degeneration of the same very soon. So if you would have noticed that dogs who are obese have hip dysplasia, have a disjointed hip, or they in general they have trouble getting up and sitting down as well. Given that the diet is a problem, that means it takes a lot of pressure on the pancreas as well to create insulin. So higher the carbohydrate in the diet, okay, higher the insulin is released in order to digest that, or in order to convert the carbohydrate into energy, which can cause diabetes in the longer run. Skin problems, when there are folds, okay, when the dogs sit and when there are folds on the skin, so there are certain areas where dogs cannot reach, because they're obese, so it is difficult for them to reach and groom themselves or clean themselves. And because of the continuous roll, for if like pugs have a lot of rolls in their body because they are fat, so that can lead to skin problems. And of course, because of the pain and arthritis and everything, dogs can become lethargic, and they would just basically avoid getting up, which makes them very lazy. And in general, dogs are not supposed to be lazy. Okay, dogs are not like, if we think that Labradors are supposed to be lazy, they're not supposed to be lazy. It's a myth that we need to break. Dogs and cats are not supposed to be lazy at all. Okay, then they can develop mood problems. Of course, a dog not living the life a dog's supposed to be living can cause mood problems. And other than that, when the digestion is not going properly, when there's excess energy, and the dog does not have the motor skills to vent out that energy properly, it can easily cause mood problems. And dogs, they get sad easily and they get happy easily. So overall, obesity is bad. Like, obesity should be canned. So moving on, causes. So four major causes of obesity is the breed, and first is breed and genetics. So some breeds are prone to obesity. You guys would have heard that Labradors are fat in general, right? So Labradors, golden retrievers, they're all prone to be obese, like obesity runs in that breed. Whereas some breeds, they're not tend they do, I mean, they don't tend to gain weight quite often, like German shepherds and Dalmatians as well, right? So but again, the era we are living in, all dogs live in apartment with us, and they're not living in the wild. So it is little difficult, I mean, not I mean, they all live with us in the apartment. And frankly, all dogs, be it a German shepherd also now, is prone to obesity, because they're not getting the exercise they used to get in the wild. And also, like, apartment dogs are lazy. They become lazy. It's not their fault, it's just the circumstances are like that, right? So then second is neutering. Neutering and spaying can reduce the metabolic rate, and it also, the dogs, they tend to eat more after they've been neutered. Okay, so first of all, the metabolism has gone down. Secondly, they have, or they feel like eating even more. Obviously, it's a bad combination. It can lead to obesity, especially in females. Improper diet. So when I say improper diet, I mean, giving your dog curd and rice, which is very, very common in India. Giving your dog just curd and rice. So as you can see here, the ratio of carbohydrates is way too much compared to the ratio of protein. Curd does have probiotics and some protein, but compared to what, rice, and compared to how much the dog needs protein, it is way too less. So having improper diets like that, like chicken and rice, just plain chicken and rice is going to make your dog fat, and it is absolutely unhealthy in the longer run. Then reduce stimulation. Here, as I was saying, in our apartment, there are less stimulations. When the dog is wild or there are more outdoors, there are more stimulations. The dog tends to run here and there, right? There's more physical as well as mental stimulation. So even for more physical exercise, it is necessary that the dog is physically stimulated. You know, just continuously just playing fetch, 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 fetch. After a point, the dog might not be interested in playing the game. So it is very important to have stimulation, and which is also the cause that if there is no stimulation for the dog tends to get lazy, even mentally, and they tend to gain weight. So I'm just going to go to the screen and check if you guys have any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions here, so I'm guessing it's going fine. Okay, moving on. Early signs. Now, how do you spot if your dog is obese? And it's spotting your dog is obese is easier, but it is too late. So what you need to observe is my dog getting fat, overweight, or is my dog getting obese, right? So this is called as body condition score, or BCS. Here, as you can see, the first one, where the dog, where the ribs are visible, basically, like the dog is too thin. So this dog is underweight, right? Compared to the second one. The second one, there is abdominal fat, okay, and ribs are generally not visible. This is not very underweight, but considered to be underweight. Here, if you see, there's a proper shape. You can see ribs. The abdominal fat is not. There's no abdominal fat. In fact, the body. This is called ideal body score, followed by little extra, belly fat hanging here. This is like overweight. This is considered to be overweight, where you call it, the dog is cute. The dog seems to be little cute and little more squishy. Then between 4 to 5 comes the chonky ones, which we really like. When the dog is sitting, it looks like a loaf of bread. Or we would have seen memes, where the dog is sitting and it looks like it's just cute. There are a lot of examples. And then the dog becomes obese. Obese dogs look cute. All dogs look cute. However, yeah, they look very big, chonky. You can't see their, ribs. You can't see anything. It's just like it's a big circle sitting with 4 small paws coming out. And it is very unhealthy. So the primary goal should be that the dog should be your ideal weight. Okay, that is 3. So now, whenever you snuggle with your dog or you want to see if your dog is obese, you can try and tap on their. Wait, I have a cat. I can actually show it to you where to tap. Here, as you can see, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Okay, how do I stop? Okay, I hope you can see me, but just let me know if you can see me. Great. So here, if I tap, okay, I can feel her ribs and everything. Okay, there's this abdominal fat here. She's a little aggressive, but yeah, I can feel her abdominal fat. I can also feel her rib cage, and which is why and I cannot see her ribs, but I could feel it, right? So she's an ideal weight. Just a second. Jojo. But in case if you can't really feel or forget seeing the ribs, the dog is obese or ideal weight. So that's when you have to get, pull up your socks and start working on reducing dog's weight. See, obesity is not like it is not same as what humans have, right? Dogs have a very small lifespan, and at the same time, obesity can reduce it significantly. And of course, we all want our dogs, they're our best friends. We want them to live for almost forever with us and have a healthy life, right? So what are the signs you need to look out for? Body condition score, keep a check. Okay, they gain weight very fast, so you have to keep a check. then you have to see if the dog has become lazy. So in general, even when we eat a lot of carbs, we feel lazy. Like nobody really can dance after having 2 bowls of mac and cheese, right? It's because it is high carbohydrate food, and they get tired easily. Okay, their stamina reduces. They get tired. Back if your dog was, imagine your dog is playing, 10-15 rounds of fetch with you, and suddenly it has come down to six rounds, 7 rounds, less than ever. Then of course followed by excessive panting, because dogs cannot sweat and they're already struggling to breathe. As I explained, when the fat increases, it becomes difficult for them to breathe. So when the dog is excessively panting, and with the normal duration, like your dog is playing 15 rounds of fetch with you, but the panting is too much, that is when you need to uh, look out for, like, you have to keep your you have to get on your toes to make sure that your dog reaches the ideal weight again. And withdrawal, now that the dog feels heavy or the bones and joints are aching in general, or even a slight ache, so just like us, dogs also avoid getting up, bringing you a toy to play with you. So basically it's a withdrawal from the day-to-day activities. Dogs do like physical activities more, right? So when they stop doing it, just understand that maybe they're becoming fat, and other than that they seem happy with you, they want to cuddle with you, but they just don't want to move around that much, they're becoming a little fat. Okay, so now the common mistakes we all make, because dogs have puppy eyes and then we just give into it, but it's a mistake. So um, you give a lot of treats. Everyone love giving treats to their dogs. Dogs love getting treats, we love giving them treats. But I'm not saying treats are bad. Too many treats are bad. And even if you have to give treats, please make sure you read and understand. When you should read the ingredients of the treats before giving it to your dog. There are treats, the single ingredient treats. It's called chicken jerky, or single ingredient chicken jerky, or chicken strips. There are multiple things, right? And the only ingredient is chicken breast. Only ingredient in a fish treat is just that particular anchovy or fish or mahi mahi fish, right? So single ingredient treats are basically dehydrated treats, dehydrated meat. Like they'll take chicken, they'll dehydrate, at a very low temperature for good, 12 hours, 10 hours, and it is cooked properly, and then it is packed. So there are no preservatives in it. And whereas the other treats, when the other, I don't want to name the brands, but there are other treats, with the proper sizes and everything. They make sausages for dogs, hot dogs for dogs. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Like, dogs don't need to eat other hot dogs. So these are more processed and they contain more chemical. And, in order to bind them in the shape of a hot dog, what happens is they end up adding carbs, right? So that carb is supremely unhealthy for your dog. So no matter how good your boy is, you have to give a very good treat, or else just simply avoid giving him any, low, those kinds of filler-full treats. And yeah, I think that you'll be doing a favor to your dog. Second is table scraps. So, table scraps, basically you're eating something, your dog is making that big eye face. I have a Labrador. I can imagine if you have one, what you go through. But you have to stop giving in for those puppy eyes, and, don't give them what you're eating. That's horrible. That's bad. That's the worst thing you can do to your dog. It is going to mess up their appetite. It is going to, not it is going to ruin their body clock in general, and how and when, how much to absorb food. Dogs are not supposed to all of this, right? So do not give your dog the, if you're having roasted bacon or with omelets or something, even though omelet or egg yolk you think is healthy for your dog, or a boiled egg, don't give it from the table. Make sure you have a proper consistent timing. Followed by this common mistake I've seen everywhere people making. They follow the same diet pattern. Okay, for example, now like you are feeding your dog chicken and rice, so you're gonna you see your dog likes it, so you keep giving him chicken and rice, chicken and rice. So you may basically you're creating a fussy eater dog, as well as the omegas that chicken has, those omegas are not there in fish. Whatever omega fish has, that omegas are not there in chicken. So basically, this diet is not proper. And chicken, is supposed to make your dog fat. Chicken is the most common, home cooked meal. Chicken rice with little bit of vegetables. That needs to be changed. And just feeding the same meal again and again, twice a day, thrice a day, is going to be a problem. So I would suggest that you can make some changes in the diet. You have to make some like change the protein source. It could be fish. Introduce your dog to fish. If you have to introduce and see if your dog likes it or not. Then you have to introduce lamb, and there are different meat sources you need to be looking at, and followed by irregular feedings. So now irregular feedings is the one I was telling you, when you're eating and your dog is giving you those puppy eyes. So that is irregular. It's not the time when you should be feeding your dog, but you're gonna feed it. Okay. If your dog is just being nice to you, you give your dog a treat. So irregular feeding timings can actually mess up your dog's digestive system, and at the same time, whatever the nutrients you suppose, treats do not have nutrients as much, but the meals we prepare, the meals we want to give our dogs, they're nutritious, right? So they absorb, like they would consume the less food, the absorption would become a little difficult for them. So cut down on irregular feedings, no matter how cute your dog is. I can understand, but you have to stop it. Okay. Then if a dry food suits your dog, it should not be the forever food. I have seen multiple cases that my dog only eats this, only eats that. Okay. Especially with dry food, you cannot have like, I am not against dry food at all. Okay. I understand not everyone can prepare meals. Not everyone can store raw chicken in the fish, or raw meat in the fish. In the fridge. I'm so sorry. In the fridge. And which is why dry foods came into the existence, so the dogs can have a balanced diet. And at the same time, it is not a hassle for the pet parent, okay, to have a dog. So I'm not against it, but I am against being totally dependent on just dry food. You should not be just giving your dog just dry food. Dry food has a lot of carbohydrates. Okay. So even if you're giving, or if you're totally relying on the commercial foods, so make sure it's a mixture of dry and wet food. So you can add little bit of, like, you can give one meal of wet food and one meal of dry food, which is still fine, because wet food has very less carbohydrate content in it, whereas dry food has a lot of carbohydrate content in order to bind the kibbles together, right? So it is important that you have a proper balance if you're completely relying on commercial food. And in case if you're having a mixed diet, okay, so make sure that there's a little bit of dry, there's a little bit of wet food, there's a little bit of home cooked food, and your dog is just not consuming one food every day, or twice a day or thrice a day every day. It's going to make them fat, it's going to create allergies in them, and plus it's not a balanced diet. Now, also canceling walks and playtime in general. In India or in Bombay right now, it is raining pretty heavily. Okay, so we tend to get lazy and we don't go out. So dogs are basically trained to poop indoors. So my dog goes to the washroom, she poops. But if I keep on doing it, my dog's going to skip her or would not be able to get sufficient exercises, right? So you have to make sure that even if you are not going out that day for walk, for any reason, your dogs get some playtime with you at home. Or you know long long term behavior like this would make your dog fat, because of course it's basically sedentary lifestyle just like us. So just how we need to work out, dogs need that too, even more than us. Okay. Prevention. So how could you prevent, and how could you make sure that you have your dog is not getting obese or is maintaining the ideal weight? So first of all, diet. So diet, you have to make sure that you're feeding your dog single ingredient treats. You can also, what you could do is, which also covers the next point here, that if you're feeding your dog continuously chicken, okay, so the treats could be the fish ones, or if a different different source of protein, right? If you're giving your dog fish food, or if your dog is lacking lamb, if you see my dog hasn't eaten lamb in her life, you can have lamb stick as treats. You can make lamb soup, and even if you're just relying on it, make sure that you get a gravy or the wet food based on lamb. So that is how you could introduce your dog to different meals. Do not just, start from today itself that today my dog is going to have something completely different, but small changes, those treats you could crush it and then you can top it up with your dog's meal. So basically here it's your chicken with a little bit of fish on top, or you could just give the treat just like that. Okay. Followed by healthy carbs. Rotational diet basically means that your dog is having different variety, and the primary source of primary motive of rotational diet is that um the different amino acids from different animals, like fish, lamb, turkey, duck, everything. You're covering everything for your dog's diet. Healthy carbs. So dogs do require carbohydrates. Okay. However, there are always healthy alternatives for carbs. Like for example, if a food contains gluten, okay, if food contains wheat, I would much rather go for a food that contains little bit of potatoes or corns. In fact, because it's a healthy source of carb. Okay, and even worst is, not worst, so choosing a healthier alternative, like if you're giving home cooked meal and if you're giving chicken and rice and you want to change rice, you can upgrade to quinoa, right? And that, and even oats. So switching to healthy sources of carbs with more fiber in them would be a better idea. And there are some dog foods that add raw bananas in the diet, in the kibble making, so that the kibble also binds. And I think banana or raw banana is a very good source of carbohydrate. It contains fiber along with vitamin B and potassium also. So overall, you know always choosing the better alternative. Then not, also as I said, not all commercial foods are bad, right? So there's one thing about commercial food is that whatever food they have designed, whatever ingredients they have, they're scientifically designed for a balanced diet for a dog, right? So even if you cook with a lot of care and you make sure that you add omegas, vitamins, supplements for your dog's diet, a home cooked diet or a raw diet, there are chances that you might miss out on certain things. It becomes difficult to take the complete responsibility and see that, oh, whatever food I cook for my dog, this is balanced and my dog does not have any other deficiency. So it could be more of home cooked food, and you can always add little bit of commercial food in order to make sure that whatever your dog would have missed out, okay, it is covered by the good quality commercial food. So my basic plan is a good quality commercial food along with more of home cooked food, right? Then make sure your dog exercises every day, okay, in the form of running, walking. Running can be basically anything, going up and down the stairs, and obviously considering how your dog's health is, and accordingly exercise and physical movement is very important. And as I said earlier, when there is not enough mental stimulation, the dog would not go and make an effort. Like when you throw a ball, the ball moves, it stimulates the dog to go and catch it, like, so that is a mental stimulation which triggers a physical stimulation, physical exercise, physical movements. So make sure your dog is active both physically and mentally. Then some lifestyle changes. So behavioral change. If your dog, I'll be completely honest, my dog has a habit of going and stealing food from the dustbin. So for her, we have kept some cupboards and everything, and we make sure that the dustbin is locked in our house because my dog apparently loves to attack dustbins. And as Indians, we have a lot of carbohydrates in our diet, and I don't want my Labrador to be consuming that much of carbohydrate, through dustbin. And I'm not giving her that. She's just going and stealing, and that's what she does. Even when she wants to go out, she would sniff for food, and if she smells bread or buns or anything, she just wants to eat it, right? So these are a behavioral change. Even if you change everything, and if your dog is still going on hunts for high carbohydrate food or any other food, which is beyond their meal and it is not included in the meal time, it's high time that you take a step ahead and then you just stop that behavior, discourage that behavior. And consider calories also. Like you can understand that what are the calorie requirements and make sure the food that you're feeding, be it commercial or be it home cooked, at least you have a fair idea of how much calorie your dog is consuming. So that, you suddenly don't notice your dog when your dog is very obese and you notice that, oh, I've been giving her a lot of calories. So, make sure that you're aware of how much calorie you're feeding. And then also slow eating. Some dogs, they take hardly 3 seconds to finish their food. And it is very important that dogs sit, they chew their food properly, okay, and then they eat it. The moment they eat the food fast, and even we humans, when the moment we eat fast, we tend to eat more, right? So for the satisfaction, mental satisfaction, and the the that stomach satisfaction, it is important that the dog has enjoyed every bit of his food, right? Then consistency. Consistency is basically making sure that you're giving the meal at meal time in your dog's bowl, right? So that your dog knows that I'm whatever is given to me in this particular bowl, I'm only supposed to eat that, you know. And going and stealing food from here and there is a bad habit. Not eating at proper time would be a you know is the way to go. You cannot just randomly keep feeding your dog whenever you're eating. So although humans can binge, they should not be binge eating, though dogs cannot and they shouldn't be doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna come back to the call. Okay. uh Cool. I guess you can see me now, and I'll answer the questions. Okay. Someone has asked, are there any healthy treats I can give my dog without worrying about his weight? Something I can give him every time he begs me. No, you can't. So every time your dog will come to beg, okay, and you give him a treat, you're basically encouraging that behavior. So that is when behavior change needs to happen, right? So you have to discourage that behavior. And every and a healthy treat option could be, you can give your dog a frozen banana. You can no, wait, not for the fat, but you can dehydrate fish. There's dehydrated fish, okay, that's a healthy fat, you can give that. Make sure that whatever you buy is a single ingredient treat. In this case, you can even give a small piece of chicken jerky also. And you can give vegetarian treats. There are some dehydrated vegetables like beetroot, apples, and you can give that. You can give cucumber also to your dog, if in case if you're worried about your dog's weight. Cucumber is an excellent snack, and so does carrot, and it also helps in cleansing of the teeth naturally. Okay, do you guys have here, I mean, you can chat. You're welcome. What with carrot? Okay, so you can wash the carrot, cut the edges, the parts, and then you can what do we say, peel the thing out or peel the skin, freeze it a little bit if you want to, and then you can just give it to your dog. They would just hold it like that, how they generally chew a bone. And it generally takes some time, so give the whole carrot. So whenever they're chewing with the teeth, the tartar in the teeth would start coming off also. So it's an excellent snack, as well as it cleans your teeth, dog's teeth naturally. Welcome again. Okay. Okay. How about older dogs? I have 13-year-old and 11-year-old doggies. They are not very active dogs, just a small walk every day. They're stolized, not obese, but a little overweight. Okay. So, what are you feeding your dogs right now? I primarily want to know. Yeah, stolized. Okay. Okay. I mean, you can continue giving it to them. 0.5 kg overweight is completely fine, honestly. But you make sure that they don't increase the weight. So make sure whatever you do, you can start introducing little walk. Like if your dog is walking half 0.5 kilometer, you can start increasing with some meters extra to make sure that the joints and everything are fit. And zero point 0.5 overweight is okay. I mean, I don't see they are very fat, but make sure if you want to try, you can try, slowly start introducing a new exercise. Or maybe if they don't have a joint or arthritis issue, they can try to climb one or two floors in case if you live in a society, or, their walk can increase by a few meters. Okay, make sure they stick to 3 kgs then. And if in case they're increasing, then there's something you need to work on their diet. Maybe on their primary dry food, or maybe you have to switch from salmon oil to other oil which has more healthy fats like sardine oil and serves more or less the same purpose. You can write down the questions in the chat box. I mean, overall, how did you guys like the session? Okay. In case, okay, I'm now I don't see any more questions. I would I'll be ending the session. So